Meet Yusuke. No, not Sasuke, Yusuke. Much like everyone watching this video, he is an introverted social outcast who likes to play games, thinks he's super smart, and has a cold and edgy side that he is proud of. He also hates interacting with strangers and just puts on a fake smile to go about his days. If you feel attacked, just know that I know your home address as well, and I will make full use of it if you don't watch this video until the end. One day, while on cleaning duty after school, Yusuke suddenly gets teleported into a new world and finds himself stranded in a lake with a weird tentacle monster, which probably wished Yusuke was a girl. Just then, he sees his fellow classmates, Yu and Kusue, walk up from behind a wall. He swims out towards them and asks them where they all were. Suddenly, he feels a hand on his shoulder, and he turns around to find a guy standing behind him that looks as if he took being called a five-head personally. He calls himself the Game Master and starts explaining the rules. He reveals that Yusuke is the third player, and their mission is to fulfill the village chief's request in 14 days. He reveals that 8 more missions are left to be completed, and after each mission, new members will be added until the last mission, which they need 10 members to complete. The current members include Yu, who is a rank 3 Wind Wizard, Kusune, who is a rank 1 Sword Warrior, and Yusuke's role gets decided with a spinning wheel, and he lands on Stardew Valley. I mean farmer. He's a farmer. After that, the Game Master leaves and Yusuke asks the other two about what was happening. Yu explains that at first it was only her, and after completing the first quest, she was able to return to their home world. But there, the Game Master gave her the quest to befriend Kusue, and the next time she was called to this world, Kusue was there too. And this time, the Game Master told them to end up alone with Yusuke, and that's how they all ended up here. With all that said, she tells him that he can see his inventory by squinting his eyes and scrolling through the menu like on his smartphone. Yusuke notes that he only has a hoe and a sickle in his inventory, and then wonders if it's because he's a farmer. While walking through the forest, they see a shining magic circle on the ground, and Yu explains that it's a log point, which sometimes records scenes that happened in that area, and he can view them by touching it. Yusuke steps forward and activates it, and it shows him the scene of when Kusue first arrived in this world, and she was really afraid of fighting monsters. Just then, they notice a pack of goblins surrounding them. Yusuke thinks he's Sasuke and tries to go in and kill them all with his sickle, but he gets a reality check when the goblin simply breaks his tool, and Yu tells him to run away as well. Yusuke asks why they ain't fighting back, and Yu shows him that they are too weak and underleveled, and even her wind magic does nothing more than fan her hair. He turns towards Kusue, but she's just hiding away like a coward and throws her sword at the goblin in panic, which does nothing. Yusuke thinks enough is enough and summons his hoe to strike the goblin. But well, that ends similarly as the first time, and the goblin hits his head and kills him on the spot. Yusuke falls down, and his soul comes out and wanders over his body as he wonders what will happen now. But after 30 seconds, he gets revived, and Yu explains that they all get revived after 30 seconds unless they all die together, because then they die for real. After that, Yusuke thinks that if dying doesn't matter, then he can just chip away at the enemy's health bar until they defeat it. He asks for Yu's help, and they ultimately manage to kill the goblins. With that, they all sit down around a campfire and discuss their plan moving forward. Yusuke asks about the quest reward, and Yu tells him that they will get to ask one question from the Game Master. For her first mission, she asked why she was chosen, and the Game Master told her that it was because someone she knows asked for it. For the second quest's reward, Kusue asked who the Game Master was, and he replied that he was from the distant future. After that, Yusuke wonders what he will ask, and they decide to go to the village in the west to complete their quest. The next day, they come across another pack of goblins and try to fight them. But suddenly, a giant troll appears, and it eats Yu and bites Kusue's arm away. Yusuke takes Kusue and runs off to the village in hopes of completing the mission. They note that Yu cannot revive because she is still inside the troll's stomach, and they must defeat it to help her out. At the village, they meet the chief, and he requests them to defeat the troll as well. Yusuke tells Kusue to stay safe in the village and that he will go raise his rank so he can defeat the troll, and even if he dies, he can revive because she is there. After that, he He walks off to level up, thinking how exciting this new world is compared to his boring life in Tokyo. He goes to the forest to find some goblins and starts fighting them. On his way, he sees a log point and finds out that Yu might like him. This gets his hopes up a little bit, but he tries to focus on his training for now. He defeats a bunch of goblins and manages to rank up to rank 9 farmer, but loses one of them, which could have pushed him to rank 10. Just then, he notices that Kusue has died, and he runs back to the village, wondering what happened. Back at the village, he finds out that the troll attacked them, and he worries if they already failed the quest. He finds a log point and activates it to find out that Kusue actually suffers from an illness in real life that makes her body really weak. She was trying to practice anyway, and that's when the troll attacked, and she died saving a kid. Yusuke resolves that he won't let anyone like that die off randomly in a parallel world. Just then, the troll appears and starts jumping after him. He tries to run away from it, but the monster jumps behind him and punches him to Narnia. While flying away like a team rocket, Yusuke firms his resolve, and he decides to fight back smartly. He runs around and memorizes the troll's attack and movement pattern like in a video game, and then manages to find and kill the remaining goblin to rank up. As soon as he hits rank 10, time stops and the Game Master appears. He says that Yusuke will now get to have another role, and he spins the wheel only to reveal that this time he landed on being a chef. Yusuke dreads this choice, but then becomes happy, knowing that he can now use a knife as a weapon. This role also gives him the ability to see the innards and weak points of all monsters, and he manages to cut through the troll's stomach, releasing his 2 team members. Yu and Kusue revive back and they all start fighting the troll together. They keep at it for hours, but only end up dying over and over again without doing any more damage to it. Just then, Yusuke comes up with a plan, and he tells Ayu to help him out. After that, he charges towards the troll and stabs it from inside its stomach. Meanwhile, Yu jumps above its head and uses her wind magic to blow its head from the inside, ultimately defeating the giant monster. With their quest finished, the Game Master arrives, and he lets them ask their question. Yusuke asks what will happen after their last quest, and the Game Master shows them a scene from their future where they will have to fight a big dragon-like monster in their own world as the heroes with the powers they gain in this one. After that, they all open their eyes in their classroom and note that not a second has passed by since they were teleported. Yu reveals that it will probably take around 2 weeks for the next quest to prepare, and until then she will prepare for her tennis tournament, and tells Yusuke to walk her back home. After that, one day while walking back home, Yusuke gets a call from the Game Master. He tells him that his next mission is to go hit on a girl and sends him her location. Yusuke follows the map and ends up at the girls' restroom in a city school. He walks in to see 3 girls bullying another girl and filming her. He rushes in and breaks all their phones and makes the bullies run away. After that, he walks the victim home and she tells him that she is a streamer, and one of the bullies is a fellow streamer on the same platform as well. In one of her recent streams, she said a little more than she should have about the other girl, and that's why she was getting back at her even though she never mentioned her name. After that, she runs back home, and Yusuke just wastes away the next 2 weeks playing video games at home. 2 weeks later, they are all transported to the new world, and this time, the otaku streamer girl is also with them. Just like before, the Game Master appears behind the new girl and spins the wheel, revealing the role of the 4th member, Yuka. The wheel lands on a heat mage, and Yuka gets equipped with her mage gear. After that, the Game Master gives them their new quest and explains that for this one, their revival time has been increased from 30 seconds to 40 seconds, and they have 2 tasks to complete. Firstly, they need to traverse 5% of the map, and for the second goal, they must deliver the goods to Rotodorbo in 40 days. After that, he vanishes away just as soon as he arrived. With the Game Master gone, Yusuke tries to approach Yuka, but she makes him out to be a perverted stalker who breaks phones, and even abducted her now. She tells this story of what happened to the other girls, and they all start keeping their distance from him. They all decide to work on their first goal and split up to cover as much of the map as possible. After that, they all meet up, and suddenly a giant bug falls behind Yusuke. They note that it's a dead bug, but then a giant centipede crawls out of its corpse and throws a pill bug at their face. The bug instantly kills Yusuke and Yu, and Yusuke takes this time to analyze its weak spots. Meanwhile, Yuka tries to play the hero with her heat magic, but only ends up being as useful as a hand warmer. Yusuke comes back to life and then starts killing the pill bugs one after the other. Everyone notes how he has grown so strong, and to end it all, he climbs on top of the centipede and cuts off all its legs. Yu asks if he has killed it already, but he says that he wanted to try something with Kusue. He lets her pull her sword out and then grabs her hands to strike the centipede down, making it count as her kill. In this way, he manages to help her level up as well and work towards getting her next role. That night, we see that Yu had a rough childhood, where her elders treated her badly like an object. She dreams about the only person who ever cared for her, but she died as well, and she wakes up from the nightmare. She sits beside Yusuke and talks to him and asks for his help.